The morning sun cuts sharp across the breakfast table, a blade of white light that seems to stop just short of Ronke's placemat. She sits in a shadow of her own making, listening to the gentle clink of silver on porcelain. The sound of laughter, bright and effortless, spills from the other end of the table. Folashade's laughter. Her husband smiles, his eyes crinking in a way Ronke has not seen directed at her in years. He passes Folashade the last piece of fried plantain, their fingers brushing for a moment. A small, casual intimacy that feels like a shout in the quiet room. Ronke traces the intricate patterns on her placemat, a silent map of a world where she does not exist. The conversation flows around her, a river in which she is an invisible stone. They speak of a party that night, of fabrics and guests and gifts. She's not asked for her opinion. She's not expected to have one. The house steward enters, his gaze sliding over Ronke as if she were another expensive, silent furniture. He speaks only to Folashade, confirming the arrangements for the evening. When her husband finally rises to leave, the legs of his chair scraping against the marble floor, his presence fills the room. He leans down, his cologne a cloud of sandalwood and power, and kisses Folashade on the cheek. "I will see you tonight, my dear." He turns, his keys jingling in his hand. For a fleeting second, his eyes meet Ronke's. There is no anger, no kindness. There is nothing. A brief, dismissive nod. Then he is gone. The silence he leaves behind is heavier than the conversation that came before it. Ronke looks at Folashade bathed in the morning sun, a queen on her throne, and in her heart, a quiet simmering resentment begins to harden into something sharp, something dangerous. The party is a river of noise and color. Music throbs from unseen speakers, weaving through the scent of expensive perfume and roasting meat. Ronke stands near a pillar, a glass of sweet chapel wine sweating in her hand, a small, still island in the current of celebration. She watches her husband move through the crowd. He is a king in his element, his white agbada the beacon in a swirl of jewel-toned fabrics. He laughs, he embraces, he holds court. He is magnificent, and he is a stranger. Then, a hush falls over the guests. The music softens. Her husband stands in the center of the room, a microphone in his hand. Folashade is at his side, radiant, a goddess draped in gold lace. He speaks of family, of prosperity, of love. His words are a warm balm, and the crowd murmurs in appreciation. Ronke's heart hammers a slow, painful rhythm against her ribs. She knows what is coming. He turns to Folashade. From a velvet box, he produces a necklace. It is a stunning cascade of traditional Yoruba beads, ornate and heavy, a piece worthy of royalty. As he fastens it around her neck, the crowd erupts in cheers. The light catches the beads and they glitter like a galaxy captured and tamed. Then he turns. He gestures for a servant who brings another box. This one is smaller, plain. He walks towards Ronke, and for a moment the world seems to hold its breath. He does not stop in front of her, only pauses as he passes, pressing the box into her hand with a tight, dismissive smile. "For you, Ronke." He does not wait for her to open it. He is already turning back to his true queen, back to the warmth and the light. Ronke's fingers, numb and clumsy, open the lid. Inside, nestled on cheap satin, is a simple, machine-made brooch, the kind one might buy from a street vendor. A thoughtless token, an afterthought. The sound of the party rushes back in, a deafening wave. Ronke looks up from the meaningless object in her hand, and her eyes meet Folashade's across the room. There is no triumph in Folashade's gaze, no malice. There is only pity. And in that moment, the final embers of Ronke's hope are extinguished, leaving behind only the cold, hard certainty of what she must do next. The pity is the final insult. It is the one thing she cannot, will not endure. The next day, Ronke leaves the gilded cage. The heavy iron gate of the compound closes behind her with a definitive metallic clang. The sterile, air-conditioned world is gone, replaced by the immediate, suffocating embrace of the Lagos heat. The city is a roaring beast. Car horns blare a constant dissonant symphony. 1,000 conversations crash into one another. She navigates the crowded pavement, a woman in a silk blouse adrift in a sea of motion. The world she has entered is a riot of life, a world that does not know her, does not care about her silent pain. She finds the keke, the small 3-wheel taxi buzzing at the roadside. She gives the driver the name of a market on the edge of the city, a place she has only heard of in the hushed, fearful whispers of the house staff. The journey is a blur of color and noise. The manicured lawns of the wealthy estates give way to a dense tapestry of concrete and commerce, of life lived out loud on the streets. She gets out at the edge of the market. The air is thick with the scent of fried fish, diesel fumes, and ripe mangoes. She pulls her scarf tighter, a shield against the press of the crowd, and plunges in. She's following a ghost map, a set of directions pieced together from half-heard rumors. Turn at the stall with the mountain of red peppers. Go past the man who sells old radios. Look for the alleyway behind the fabric merchant. For a moment, the chaos threatens to swallow her. Her resolve wavers, but then she feels the phantom weight of the cheap brooch in her pocket. She sees the ghost of pity in Folashade's eyes, and her steps become firm again. She pushes on, deeper into the labyrinth. Finally, she finds it. A narrow, quiet alleyway, tucked away from the market's roar. The sounds of the city are muffled here, distant, and at the end of the alleyway there is a small, unassuming door, painted a deep, faded indigo. Carved into the wood is a small, barely visible symbol of a closed eye. This is the place. Ronke stands before the door, the heart of the city's noise at her back, a world of silent, forbidding power in front of her. She takes a single steadying breath and she raises her hand to knock. The door does not creak. It sighs open into a small, windowless room. The air inside is thick, heavy with the scent of dried herbs, old wood, and something else. Something like cool, damp earth after a long rain. The chaos of the market vanishes, replaced by a profound, weighted silence. The only light comes from a single candle flame, dancing in the gloom, casting long, wavering shadows across walls, cluttered with gourds, bundles of sticks, and strange carved figures. A woman sits in the far corner, a silhouette against the flickering flame. Ronke cannot see her face clearly, only the glint of light on her silver hair and the slow, deliberate movement of her hands as she sorts through a pile of leaves. "You bring a heavy heart to my door." The voice is old, but not frail. It is a voice like a deep, slow-moving river, and it fills the small room completely. Ronke's own voice is a fragile thing, a dry whisper. "They call you the Iya Alagbo?" "They call me many things," the old woman replies, not looking up from her work. "What matters is what you call yourself, a wife or a ghost in your own home." The question is a sharp stone, and it strikes true. Ronke finds her voice, and the story spills out of her. The years of being invisible, the daily humiliations, the party, the cheap brooch, the final crushing weight of Folashade's pity. It is a poison she has held in for too long. When she is finished, the old woman is silent for a long moment. Then she sets aside her leaves and finally, slowly looks up. Her eyes, in the candlelight, are ancient and unnervingly clear. Envy is a deep hunger, but every meal has its price. Are you prepared to pay? Ronke nods, her throat too tight for words. The old woman reaches into a dark wooden bowl beside her. What she pulls out is not a powder, not a potion. It is a small thing, carved from dark, heavy wood. An effigy with two faces, back to back. One face is exquisitely beautiful, serene, with lips curved in a gentle smile. The other is a mask of silent agony, its eyes wide, its mouth a hollow O of despair. You wish to walk in her shoes, to feel the sun on her face. This can be arranged. She speaks the rules. One day, sunrise to sunrise, a single taste of the life Ronke craves. She explains the ritual, the words to be spoken at the dawn. Ronke reaches for the charm, her fingers trembling, but the Iya Alagbo holds it back for a longer moment. But you must remember, she says, her voice dropping to a low, serious hum. Every beautiful face has a back of the head. The words are a riddle Ronke does not have the patience to solve. All she sees is the beautiful face on the charm. All she sees is Folashade. She pays the price, a sum that feels both impossibly large and laughably small for the miracle she is buying. Her hand closes around the charm. It is strangely warm, heavy, like a sleeping stone. She leaves the shrine, stepping back into the roaring river of the market. But she is different now. The noise does not touch her. She carries a secret, a dark and powerful seed of hope, clutched tightly in her fist. The hour before dawn is the quietest. The house is a tomb of sleep, the air still and cool. In her small, plain room, Ronke is awake. She sits on the floor, cross-legged, a single candle pushing back the darkness. The flame is a steady, watchful eye. Before her, on a simple white cloth, rests the two-faced charm. Her heart is a frantic bird against her ribs. This is the final threshold, the last moment to turn back. But the memory of pity in Folashade's eyes is a wall behind her. There is no retreat. She picks up the charm. The two-faced carving is heavy in her palm, its wood worn smooth by hands she cannot imagine. She turns it over and over, the beautiful face serene, the anguished face a silent scream. Her own voice is a stranger in the silence, a low, shaky whisper as she speaks the words the Iya Alagbo taught her. They are words of envy, of desire, of transference, ancient words that feel wrong and right on her tongue. She closes her eyes, focusing on the image of Folashade, her perfect face, her effortless grace, the sun that seems to shine only for her. Ronke pours all of her yearning, all of her invisible years into that image. The ritual requires one final act. She opens her eyes. With a hand that does not tremble, she lifts the charm. She presses the cool wood of the beautiful face against her own chest, directly over her heart. A tremor runs through her, a current of ice and fire that starts in her chest and explodes outwards to the tips of her fingers, the roots of her hair. The single candle's flame stretches, elongates, becoming a searing line of light. The edges of the room, the familiar shapes of her furniture begin to soften, to blur, to melt away like wax. The world dissolves into white, hot silence. And then, nothing.
Awareness returns slowly. A soft, warm weight pulls her from the white void. The feeling of silk sheets, impossibly smooth against her skin. The scent of jasmine and rain-washed air. This is not her room. Ronke opens her eyes. Sunlight, soft and golden, filters through billowing white curtains. She is in a vast bed, a cloud of white linen. The room is a sanctuary of quiet luxury, all polished wood and cool, muted colors. She sits up. Her body feels wrong, lighter. The limbs feel longer, more graceful. A strange, unfamiliar energy hums beneath her skin. Her gaze falls on a full-length mirror standing in the corner, a tall, silent sentinel. She pushes back the silk sheets and stands. The floor is cool beneath feet that feel alien, slender. She takes a hesitant step towards the mirror, another. And then she sees it. It is not her own face that stares back. It is Folashade's face. The high cheekbones, the full lips, the large almond-shaped eyes. The face she has studied for years with a mix of burning envy and bitter admiration is now her own. A strangled gasp escapes her lips. She raises a hand, a long, elegant hand with perfectly manicured nails, and touches the cheek of the woman in the mirror. The reflection does the same. It worked. The magic worked. A wave of pure, dizzying triumph crashes over her. A giddy, breathless laugh bubbles up from her chest. She turns, she twirls in the morning light, watching the stranger in the mirror mimic her every move. She has won. She has stolen the sun, captured the light and made it her own. Her victory is absolute. Her joy is perfect. And then, a sound cuts through her elation. A low, insistent buzzing, a vibration. It's not her phone. The sound is coming from a heavy mahogany dresser across the room. Her heart begins to pound a new heavy rhythm, a rhythm of fear. She picks up the phone. The screen glows to life. There is one new message. It is not from a lover. It is not from a friend. The words are stark, brutal, and cold. Sunrise, be ready. No excuses this time. Ronke stares at the message, the words blurring, the letters seeming to squirm on the screen. The beautiful, triumphant room suddenly feels like a cage. She looks up, her gaze catching her own reflection in the phone's dark, polished screen. It is Folashade's face she sees, but the joy is gone. The triumph has vanished. All that is left is a mask of pure, dawning horror. Ronke shoves the burner phone deep into a drawer, burying it under a mountain of silk scarves, just as a soft knock comes at the door. Her heart leaps into her throat. She smooths the front of a silk nightgown that is not hers and calls out a hesitant, "Yes." The door opens and a housemaid enters, carrying a tray with a single cup of steaming coffee. The maid is young, a girl Ronke has seen 100 times, but whose name she does not know. "Good morning, ma," the girl says with a deferential bow of her head. Ronke can only nod in reply. She is a stranger here. Every word is a potential misstep, every gesture a possible betrayal. She feigns a yawn, a grogginess she does not feel, hoping it will cover her ignorance. But the girl is not looking at her. She's looking past her, towards the door, her expression shifting to one of respectful fear. Her husband stands there. He does not enter. He leans against the door frame, a cup of coffee in his own hand, watching her. A slow, unreadable smile plays on his lips. This is a level of attention he has never shown her.
In her own body, he barely saw her. In this one, his gaze is a physical weight. You were sleeping so soundly. His voice is smooth, laced with a concern that feels both wonderful and terrifying. I was worried you might be unwell. Ronke's mind races. She clutches her head, a gesture she hopes looks convincing. Just a headache, my dear. It will pass. The lie feels clumsy on her tongue, but he seems to accept it. He takes a sip of his coffee, his eyes never leaving her face. He is watching her too closely. It is not the casual gaze of a husband. It is the focused, intense scrutiny of a guard. He pushes himself off the doorframe. Rest then, but you must be well for tonight. My mother expects you to be at your best for the family dinner. It is not a request. It is a command, wrapped in the soft silk of a suggestion. He turns and is gone, his footsteps echoing softly down the long, silent hallway. The maid places the coffee on the bedside table and backs out of the room, closing the door with a soft click. Ronke is alone again. She looks at her reflection in the mirror, at Folashade's beautiful, composed face. She must wear this mask not just for a morning, but for an entire evening of performance. The headache she faked is now a very real pulsing fear in her temples. The day has just begun, and she is already drowning.
The house is a silent, sprawling tomb. Her husband is gone. The staff move like ghosts in the distant corners of the estate. Ronke is, for the first time, truly alone in Folashade's world. She closes the bedroom door, the soft click of the latch an act of defiance. The room is a testament to a life of effortless luxury. Perfume bottles glitter on the dresser like cut jewels. Silk and cashmere spill from the open wardrobe. For a moment, the old familiar envy whispers in her ear, but she pushes it aside. She's not here to admire. She is here to hunt. She moves with a purpose she has never felt before. Her hands, Folashade's hands, tracing the surfaces, searching for a secret. She is not a wife. She's an intruder, an archaeologist digging through the pristine layers of a beautiful lie. She runs her fingers along the carved mahogany of the wardrobe. Nothing. She checks under the heavy Persian rug. Nothing. She pulls out drawers, her movements quick and quiet, her ears straining for any sound, any approaching footstep. Then she sees it. In the back of the wardrobe, behind a wall of expensive shoes, is a small, almost invisible seam in the wood, a false panel. Her breath catches. Her fingers, trembling slightly, find the edge and pull. The panel slides open with a soft, oiled whisper, revealing a small metal lockbox recessed into the wall. It is not locked. She lifts it out. It is heavy, cold. She opens the lid. There are no jewels inside, no stacks of cash, no love letters. There is only a small leather-bound ledger and a fountain pen. She opens it. The pages are filled with Folashade's elegant looping handwriting. But these are not diary entries. They are records, dates, followed by staggering sums of money transferred to an entity identified only by a strange recurring symbol drawn in the margins. It is a symbol that looks like a serpent eating its own tail, but with a thorny crown in the center. It is cold. It is methodical. It is the accounting of a secret life, a ledger of fear. Ronke stares at the symbol, her mind racing. The threatening message on the burner phone was not the beginning of the story. It was just one entry in a very old, very dangerous book. And now somehow, she is the one who must pay the debt. Evening descends.
The house is alive with the quiet, purposeful movements of the staff preparing for the family dinner. Ronke sits before Folashade's vanity mirror, a stranger staring back at her as her husband enters the room. He is dressed in a fresh, crisp agbada of deep indigo, and he holds the ornate Yoruba beaded necklace in his hands. The necklace, the very object that sparked her desperate journey. "You are not ready," he says, his voice a soft, silken reprimand. "My mother will be here soon. You must be perfect." He steps behind her. Ronke can see his reflection in the mirror, his face a calm, unreadable mask. He lifts the heavy, intricate necklace. "This is missing," he says. Ronke's throat is dry. It is very heavy. His eyes meet hers in the mirror. A flicker of something cold, something hard passes through them. "It is a gift. You will wear it." His hands are gentle as he places the necklace around her neck, but the weight of it is immediate, shocking. It is a beautiful, ornate cage settling onto her collarbones. It feels less like jewelry and more like a yoke. He fumbles with the clasp for a moment. His fingers linger on the back of her neck, a possessive proprietary touch that sends a chill through her. The clasp clicks shut. He steps back, admiring his work in the mirror. There, perfect. He leaves the room. Ronke sits frozen, staring at the woman in the mirror. She is beautiful. She is elegant. She is a prisoner. Slowly, she lifts her hand, her fingers tracing the delicate beads until they find the clasp at the back of her neck. It is heavy, intricately carved. Her fingertips explore the metal, feeling the raised, sharp edges of a design. Her blood runs cold. It is the symbol from the ledger. The serpent with the thorned crown. It is not just a necklace, it is a brand, a mark of ownership. The gift that she had coveted with all her soul was never a symbol of love. It was a chain, and it is locked around her neck.
Far across the city, in a room without windows, the night holds a different kind of silence. Not the quiet of wealth, but the heavy expectant hush of ritual. The air is thick with smoke of bitter incense. 3 figures sit on low stools, their faces lost in the deep shadows cast by a single oil lamp. They are still as stone, monuments of patience. A 4th figure stands before them, his back to the faint light. He is the one who speaks, and his voice is not loud, but it absorbs all the sound in the room. "The preparations are complete," he says. One of the seated figures, a man whose presence feels ancient and vast, gives a slow, deliberate nod. The celestial alignment is correct. The family has been given every courtesy. "They have," the standing man confirms. "And the vessel is in place. The transfer will have settled by dawn." The ancient man considers this. The silence stretches, thick and heavy. "There can be no more delays," he says finally, his voice a low rumble, like stones grinding together deep underground. "The death has been carried for too long. The sun rises in 6 hours." He lifts a hand, a gesture of finality that seems to pull the very shadows tighter around him. "The family will honor its obligation. Prepare to collect." The night was a blur, a performance of a lifetime. Ronke moved through the family dinner like a phantom, smiling, nodding, her voice a hollow echo of Folashade. Every moment was a tightrope walk over a canyon of discovery. But she survived. Now, in the pre-dawn quiet of Folashade's room, she waits. Hope is a frantic, fluttering bird in her chest. The curse has a limit, a rule, sunrise to sunrise. The sun is her promise, her salvation. She sits in a chair by the window, watching the sky transform from a deep, bruised purple to a soft, pearly gray. The first rays of sun slice through the curtains, painting stripes of gold on the floor. It is time. She waits for the shift, the tearing sensation,
the violent return to her own skin. She closes her eyes, bracing for the impact. But there is nothing. Only the soft weight of silk on her skin. Only the scent of jasmine in the air. Her eyes snap open. The sun is higher now, the light stronger. A bird sings outside the window. The magic should have broken. The debt should be paid. A cold, heavy dread begins to pull in her stomach. She stands, her legs unsteady. She stumbles to the full-length mirror, her breath catching in her throat. She prays, she begs a God she has long forgotten. Please, please, let it be me. She looks up. It is Folashade's face that stares back. A face contorted in a mask of raw, undiluted panic. She touches the cheek. It is her hand, Folashade's hand, touching her own face, Folashade's face. She is still here. She is still trapped. The sun climbs higher, indifferent. The day begins again. And Ronke understands, with a clarity that is more painful than any wound, the true nature of the herbalist's bargain. The one-day limit was a lie. The trap was not for a day. It is for eternity.
Panic is a cold, smooth stone in Ronke's throat. She stares at the stranger in the mirror, this beautiful woman who is now her jailer. The room, once a symbol of her desire, is now the cell of her eternal prison. She is trapped, lost. A sound from outside cuts through her terror. The crunch of tires on the long gravel driveway. A car has arrived. Through the window, she sees it. A sleek black car that seems to drink the bright morning light. The house staff, who were moving through the gardens with their usual languid pace, suddenly freeze. Gardeners avert their eyes. Maids hurry inside, their faces tight with a fear Ronke has never seen before. A heavy, unnatural stillness falls over the entire compound. Ronke's heart hammers against her ribs. She knows with a certainty that is colder than any winter morning who is in that car. She hears the front door open downstairs. No announcement, no welcome. Only the soft, heavy footfalls of men who know they belong there. She backs away from the window, pressing herself into the far corner of the room, as if she could melt into the walls. The footsteps are in the hall now. They are slow, deliberate, unhurried. They are the footsteps of predators who know their prey is cornered. They stop outside her door. The handle turns with a soft metallic click. The door swings open. 3 men stand there, their bodies blocking the light from the hall, casting long shadows into the room. They are dressed in simple dark agbadas, but they carry an aura of immense ancient power. They are not guards, they are priests. They do not look at her with anger. They do not look at her with malice. They look at her with the calm, detached certainty of a collector claiming a long overdue debt. The one in the center, a man with eyes that seem to hold the darkness of a moonless night, takes a single soft step into the room. Ronke continues to back away, her heel hitting the leg of a chair, but her eyes are locked on his. He does not raise his voice. He does not need to. His words are quiet, final, and they seal her doom. The family honors its agreements, he says, his voice, a calm, chilling whisper that cuts through her panic. It is time.
The cult leader's words hang in the air, a final, silencing judgment. It is time. Ronke's mind is a wide, screaming void. Her body is frozen, a statue of terror. This is the end. A trap she built with her own envy, a grave she dug with her own hands. The man steps forward, his hand beginning to raise, and the white void in her mind begins to collapse into a single point of black despair. But as he moves, another voice cuts through the silence, a memory sharp and clear as a shard of glass. It is the voice of the Iya Alagbo, the herbalist in her dark, quiet room. And Ronke does not just hear the voice, she sees the face, the ancient, knowing eyes. The memory is so vivid, it is as if the old woman is standing right behind the cult leader, whispering a secret only Ronke can hear. Every beautiful face has the back of the head. The riddle, the warning she had dismissed in her haste. It is not a taunt, it is not a curse, it is a key. The black despair in her mind does not vanish, but it shatters. In its place, a single, sharp, desperate thought takes root. A loophole, a hidden side, a way out that is not a reversal, but a path through. The paralysis breaks. The terror is still there, a cold fire in her veins, but it is no longer her master. It is fuel. The vacant horror in her eyes is gone, replaced by a frantic, calculating light. She is still a prey. She is still cornered, but for the first time, she is no longer a willing victim. Her eyes dart past the cult leader, past the other men blocking the door. She scans the room not as a cell, but as a puzzle, an escape route, a weapon. She has a new objective, a new destination. She must step back to the herbalist. She must
the edge and pull. The cult leader is still speaking, his voice a low hypnotic drone about death and destiny. Ronke does not hear the words. She only hears the silence of the rest of the house, a silence that means no one will help her. Her mind snaps into focus. This is the moment. She is not strong enough to fight. She is not fast enough to outrun. She has only chaos. Her eyes dart to the floor-to-ceiling silk curtains that frame the window, expensive, delicate, highly flammable. With a speed born of pure terror, Ronke spins around, not toward the door, but toward the fireplace. She snatches the ornate, heavy brass poker from a stand, a weapon too light to defend herself, but perfect for her purpose. The cult leader stopped mid-sentence, startled by her sudden violent movements. "Where do you think you are going?" Ronke doesn't answer. She slams the butt of the brass poker into the massive framed antique mirror hanging above the fireplace. The glass shatters with an explosive, deafening crack. Shards of glass rain down onto the marble floor. The sound is an act of pure sacrilege in the quiet house, a shockwave that echoes through the silence. The cult leader flinches, distracted for a single crucial second. His two companions turn to look at the expensive damage. That is all the time Ronke needs. She sprints for the window, smashing the rest of the glass with the poker. The curtains are pulled loose. She grabs a thick fold of the expensive silk and swings the brass poker with all her strength, hooking it onto the crystal chandelier hanging low from the ceiling. She yanks. The chandelier, a monument to the family's wealth, crashes to the floor, exploding into 1,000 glittering pieces of glass and metal. The chaos is complete. The deafening noise pulls the entire house out of its silent terror. Screams erupt downstairs. Footsteps pound on the stairs. The servants are scattering, thinking the entire house is under attack. Ronke throws the poker and scrambles onto the wide window ledge. The cult leader shouts, a voice of pure cold fury now. He lunges. She pushes herself off the ledge and tumbles onto the soft soil of the garden bed below, her gown tearing, the necklace digging into her skin. She doesn't wait. She runs. Low to the ground, using the manicured hedges for cover, she makes for the compound's rear wall, an old servant's wall that the Iya Alagbo had described as the blind spot. Behind her, the cult leader is shouting orders. She scrambles over the low crumbling section of the wall, tearing her hand on the rough concrete. She hits the ground outside. Dust, diesel fumes, and the roar of traffic envelop her. The cacophony of the city, which felt so threatening before, is now her salvation. Ronke, disheveled, bleeding, and wearing the clothes of a queen, disappears into the anonymity of the Lagos crowd. She is a fugitive now, but she is free. Ronke returns to the place of whispers. She bursts through the dark indigo door of the shrine, breathless, bleeding, and dressed in the ruined silks of her stolen life. The Iya Alagbo is sitting exactly as Ronke left her, calm amidst the clutter of gauds and charms. She doesn't look up, only gestures to a cushion on the floor. "You are early," the old woman says, her voice measured. The charm was supposed to last until the sun set again. Ronke doesn't sit. She stands, breathing hard, the toned silk of Folashade's gown a testament to her flight. "You lied," Ronke hisses, her voice shaking with rage and terror. "It didn't break. I'm trapped. I saw the men, the cult, they came for me. You sold me, and you knew I would be walking into a grave." The old woman finally looks up, her expression utterly impassive. "I sold you what you bought, child. You bought her life, and that life came with a debt." She rises slowly, moving closer to Ronke. Her eyes are not judging, but studying. "The charm was never for a body swap, Ronke. That was the magic for the one-day delay. The true magic was a caste transfer. The husband's family has been paying a generational debt to that cult for their wealth. Folashade, in whose body you now stand, was the next vessel. She was due to be consumed by the curse." Ronke stumbles back, clutching at the necklace. The cold, heavy metal is a physical affirmation of the horror. She knew. Ronke whispers, the realization sinking like a stone. Folashade wasn't a victim. She found a scapegoat. "Envy makes excellent bait," the Iya Alagbo states simply. "You wanted her life so badly that you walked right into the open trap. The charm transferred the debt, the curse, and the mark of ownership to your body, Ronke. The face merely followed the soul's new chains." She pauses, letting the final terrible truth settle. The cult didn't come for Folashade. They came for the person wearing the curse. They came for you. Ronke stares at the two-faced charm still lying on the altar, the beautiful face and the face of agony mocking her. She understands the riddle now. The beautiful face was the mask, the anguish was the reality. "Why are you telling me this?" Ronke asks, her rage spent, replaced by a terrible, cold clarity. The old woman gestures to the destroyed necklace on Ronke's neck. "Because now you know the truth. You know the rules. You can't break the curse by running, and you can't reverse the curse by magic. You must destroy the debt itself. You must go back. You must shatter the pact that binds the family to that cult." She points towards the door. "Go! You have the knowledge now. You are the only one who can save Folashade's life and your own."
Night has fallen, but the compound is not sleeping. Security lights bathe the eye walls in a ash electric glare. Ronke moves through the darkness of the city, her gaze fixed on the fortress that holds her future. She is no longer the timid wife who left in a huff of envy. She is a determined fugitive, a torn gown a uniform of war. She follows the Iya Alagbo's whispered directions, finding the rear wall she climbed over only hours before. But this time, she is not climbing out, she is going in. She located the hidden spot, a small crumbling section of the wall near the old generator shed, perfectly hidden by an overgrown edge. The herbalist called it the servant's part, long forgotten by the current owners. Ronke pushes through the dense leaves. The space beyond is dark and claustrophobic. She climbs over the broken stones, sliding down into the shadows of the compound. She stays low, moving from shadow to shadow. Every rustle of a leaf, every distant cough of a security guard is a knife to her nerves. The large manicured garden, which she once saw as a beautiful backdrop, is now a labyrinth of hostile spaces. She reaches the back of the house, a wall of cool, dark stone. She finds the small, disused door, the old servant's entrance the Iya Alagbo had described. It is bolted from the outside, a final flimsy barrier. Ronke takes a deep breath, reaches for the simple bolt and slides it open with a soft metallic sound that feels deafening in the silence. She slips inside. The air is immediately cooler, heavier with the smell of expensive polish and fear. She is home. But this house, this temple of her envy, is now the gauntlet she must traverse to her redemption. She is inside the walls, a fox among sleeping dogs. The
The true fight is about to begin.
Ronke moves through the silent halls of the house, a shadow dressed in tattered silk. She avoids the main staircase, taking the old sodden steps, her heart hammering a rhythm against the necklace that still binds her. She knows where they would hide a secret as dangerous as Folashade. She finds the room on the 3rd floor, a guest suite far from the main family quarters. The door is heavy, not locked with a key, but with a simple latch Ronke knows from her previous, unnoticed life. She sleeps inside. The room is dim, the heavy curtains drawn. Folashade is on the bed. She is awake, but her eyes are wide, glassy, fixed on the ceiling. She is drugged, weak, a prisoner in her own beautiful body. Ronke approaches the bed. Folashade turns her head slowly, her eyes finding Ronke, her own face standing over her. A choked cry escapes Folashade's lips, her eyes filled with terror. You dead. You are supposed to leave. You are supposed to just let me go. Ronke sits on the edge of the bed, her breath catching. The pity she felt earlier is gone, replaced by a terrible empathy. She sees the fear, the desperation. She is looking at her own reflection of what might have been. Ronke said, "I know what you did," keeping her voice low, even. "I know about the cost transfer, the debt, the cult." Folashade begins to weep, silent tears tracking down her perfect cheeks. "It was the only way. I was forced. I had to save my son. They threatened him." "I am not here to judge," Ronke said, pushing past the pain of the betrayal. She reaches out and gently touches the cheek of the woman who used her. "I know your life is a lie, and you know I am a desperate fool who walked into your prison." She leans close, using the secret she learned from the humiliation of the brooch. "You never liked my scent, said my cheap perfume reminded you of the outside world. I wore it every day just hoping you'd notice me." Folashade's eyes widen. Only the real Ronke could know that tiny detail of her unseen life. The shock is a moment of cold, terrible clarity. "Ronke," Folashade whispered, a final, fragile recognition. Ronke nods. "We have the truth. They are powerless when we stand together. Tell me, what is his weakness? What is the final secret that breaks the pact?" Folashade closes her eyes, gathering her strength. She speaks slowly, painfully, sharing the last damning piece of knowledge Ronke needs for the confrontation. The shared secret hangs between them, a fragile, desperate alliance forged in betrayal and necessity. Ronke finds her husband in his private study, a room of dark mahogany and leather, a monument to his control. He is sitting behind his massive desk, his face haggard, his composure fractured by the chaos of the escape. He looks up and his confusion is momentary. He doesn't see Folashade, he sees the cursed woman who defied him. "You should be gone," he growls, his voice low and dangerous. "You think you can run from them? You have made a mistake that would destroy us both." Ronke steps into the center of the room, standing her ground. She does not raise her voice. She speaks with the cold, quiet authority of Folashade's identity, but with the ruthless knowledge of Ronke's desperation. "You made the mistake. You bought into the lie of a crown you couldn't wear. And you sacrificed your life and nearly mine for a promise that was already broken." He stares at her, his eyes narrowed. "I don't know what lies your fear is telling you." "The lie is that you are powerful," Ronke counters. "The lie is that they gifted you this wealth. You know the truth. You paid the debt for your father. You sacrificed everything for their promise of a powerful heir, and you sacrificed your own wife for it." She walks to the edge of his desk, her gaze unwavering. She reveals the final devastating secret Folashade gave her, the secret of his own failure. "But they cheated you, didn't they? They took your health, they took your freedom, and they took the one thing you demanded in return. The cult's pact rendered you sterile years ago.
You knew. Folashade told me everything. You are sitting here with all this power, but you have no one to pass it to. You are a dead branch on your family tree. The truth hits him like a physical blow. His face drains of color. His composure shatters. The mask of power dissolves, replaced by the naked, pathetic figure of a man who realized he gave everything for nothing. He lunges at her, not with violence, but with a desperate, defeated cry, a primal wail of denial. Ronke stands firm, letting his rage wash over her, knowing she has already won. He collapses back into his chair, breathing heavily, clutching his head. He is finished, broken not by magic or a punch, but by the cold, hard logic of his own failure. The tension in the room is suffocating. And then, just as his breakdown reaches its peak, the door to the study swings inward. The court leader stands there, his ancient eyes sweeping over the scene. He ignores the sobbing man behind the desk and focuses his entire, unwavering attention on Ronke. The final confrontation has arrived.
The cult leader enters the study. He is a tower of cold authority, ignoring the weeping husband as if he were a discarded piece of furniture. His entire focus is on Ronke, on the asset, the curse bearer. He advances, his shadow falling over her. Ronke stands still, her eyes unwavering, staring into his ancient, intimidating gaze. The escape was juvenile, the leader says, his voice a dry, rasping whisper, a final spasm of defiance. You may have the face of the favored, but you have the soul of the common wife. It is time to surrender what you stole. He expects her to cower. He expects her to beg. Instead, Ronke smiled. It was a terrifying, cold smile. Folashade's beautiful face twisted by Ronke's fierce, desperate courage. I didn't steal a life, Ronke said, her voice clear, stronger than it has ever been. I inherited a lie, and I came back to tell you that your contract is void. The leader paused, momentarily thrown by her unexpected confidence. Your words are meaningless. Are they? Ronke asked. The debt you claim is generational. It is the price for the family's wealth. But the wealth is a distraction. The debt is for the cause, a poison your own ancestors created and could not contain. You promised this house prosperity, but you needed a stable bloodline to pass the poison down year after year so it would never die. She took a step forward. The leader instinctively took a step back. But you are blind, Ronke continued, the truth pouring out of her. You are so blinded by your own ritual, you missed the truth. The curse only worked because it was allowed to. It only worked because we believed we were trapped. The husband believed he needed your promise. I believed I needed Folashade's face. We were all trapped by our own envy and fear of being nothing. She glanced at the weeping husband. He is sterile. The bloodline is dead. The vessel you chose for the next generation has no successor. You have nowhere left to transfer the curse. The chain has run out of links. The leader stares at her, his ancient eyes widening in horror and fury. He turns to the husband, who is sobbing in broken defeat. He realizes the truth in Ronke's words. The family line is finished. The host vessel is useless, and their grand, terrifying pact has crumbled into dust. Ronke has struck at the heart of their system. She has exposed the lie of his legitimacy. You have no claim, Ronke declared, her final self-revelation. The only power you had was the power we gave you with our fear, and I choose to be afraid no longer. The cult leader lets out a roar of absolute impotent rage. He is exposed. He is defeated. His centuries-old system of control has been undone not by magic, but by a simple, terrifying realization of the truth by the common woman he despised. The study is thick with a scent of fear and ozone. The cult leader stands frozen, his eyes burning with helpless, absolute hatred. The husband sobs, his face buried in his hands.
Ronke holds the gaze of the court leader, unwavering. She walks to the desk and retrieves the two-faced charm, still warm from his power. The court leader finds his voice, a frantic, desperate whisper. The debt still exists. You have merely severed the line. You must reverse this spell. Return the body to the common wife. Return the curse to the bloodline. He is begging her to play by the rules of the game she just won. Ronke looks down at the charm. The beautiful face seems to smile at her, inviting her to keep the power, to send the curse back to Folashade, to the one who betrayed her. The simple, easy path, the path of revenge. She looks at the face of silent anguish on the charm's back. She remembers the year she spent feeling like a ghost, the pain of being unseen. She realized that the curse didn't need a bloodline. It only needed a soul consumed by envy. It needed a willing victim. And she refuses to be that victim or to create a new one. Ronke opens her hand and let the two-faced charm fall onto the polished mahogany desk. She picks up the brass poker she used for her escape in the previous scene. I won't reverse the curse, Ronke says, her voice steady and clear. I will destroy the curse. She lifts the poker high above her head. The light catches the brass, making it gleam. The court leader lunges, a raw animal noise ripping from his throat. With a powerful and definitive strike, Ronke brings the poker down, smashing the wooden charm on the desk. The sound is not a crack or a smash. It is a sharp, resonant gong that vibrates through the room, shaking the foundation of the house. A flash of intense, burning gold light erupts from the splintered wood, blinding them all. When the light fades, the charm is gone, reduced to a pile of dark, meaningless ash. The opulent room smells like burnt spices and clean, cold air. The court leader is staggering, covering his eyes, his power evaporated. The husband is silent, staring vacantly at the desk. Ronke stands over the ashes, her heart calm. The curse is broken. The debt is nullified. The cycle of fear and sacrifice is over.
The sun rises again. This time, its light is not a promise of doom, but a quiet, clean affirmation of a new day. The opulent house is still. The study is a mess. The shattered mirror and the dark ash on the desk, testament to the violence of the night. The husband is still there, defeated. A man who has lost his purpose. The cult leader is gone, retreating into the shadows to lick the wounds of his exposed lie. Ronke stands in the main hall. She is in her own body now. The moment of the curse's destruction was instantaneous and final. She feels the familiar weight of her own limbs, the ordinary scent of her own skin. She is Ronke again. Folashade is standing beside her. She is also in her own body, dressed in a simple, discarded garment from the guest room. She is pale, but the fear in her eyes has been replaced by a fragile, dawning realization of her own true freedom. They look at each other. There are no words of apology, no promises of friendship. Their experience is too vast, too painful for simple conversation. There is only a profound, complex understanding. Folashade gently touches Ronke's arm. It is a gesture of acknowledgement, of shared survival. They walk, side by side, to the heavy iron gates of the compound. The staff watch from the windows, silent, confused, seeing two women where there should have been only one. Two women living where one was supposed to stay forever. The guard at the gate, bewildered, opens the iron doors. Ronke and Folashade step out onto the street. The morning air is fresh, cool. The city is beginning to wake up. The gentle hum of life replacing the sterile silence of the estate. They do not look back at the mansion. They turn and begin to walk,
side by side, not towards any specific destination, but simply away from the beautiful, terrible prison they have both escaped. They are two women, stripped of the expectations and the envy that once defined them, heading toward a new, uncertain path. They walk on, free.
And so concludes our tale. Thank you for gathering with us at the digital campfire. The story of Ronke is a story of envy and the desperate choices it can lead to. It makes us ask a difficult question. Was Folashade a villain for creating the trap, or was Ronke responsible for willingly walking into it? Share your thoughts in the comments below. There is no right or wrong answer, only the wisdom we find together. If you believe in the power of our stories and want to be part of this circle, please subscribe to Akéwì Arts and turn on notifications. We have many more tales to tell. For our next story, we're riding through the chaotic streets of Lagos. Our story follows a downfall bus driver whose only hope of saving his sick daughter lies in solving the murder of the ghost haunting his bus. Until then, be well.